Welcome back to another video of Math 101, where you're going to be learning about converting fractions and mixed numbers into improper fractions, and you're going to be converting improper fractions back into mixed numbers. So we're going to be doing vice versa. So you're going to start off with these notes on mixed and improper. Make sure you get the title down, and anything that says notes, you need to make sure you're writing into your notebook exactly how I have it on the screen. Don't change it. I'm doing this to make sure you stay organized. So start it off with converting mixed to improper. When we do this, you're writing down 2 3/4. We're following 3 steps in this process. So the very first step is to multiply your whole, the 2 wholes here, by the denominator. So we would almost be making a check mark, and we call this the check. So you're going to be creating a check mark in this process. So the very first step is to multiply the whole by the denominator. So 2 times 4 comes out to be 8. So you get 8 as an answer here. Okay? And then the second step is to then add the numerator to the product of your whole times your denominator. So here's my product of 8 of my whole times the denominator. And then the next step is to add the numerator. So you see my 8 plus my 3. So here I have 2 times 4. I got 8. I put it above the whole number. And now I put a plus sign, and I'm adding that 3, the numerator, to that answer, that product of 8. And I get a total of 11, as you can see right here. All right? Now the very third step is to now, the answer to that step 2 is the numerator. So that 11 is my numerator. So literally I write it out, 11 as my numerator, with the original denominator, fourths. So you can see here, this 8 plus 3 becomes the numerator, and the denominator stayed the same. So that's the steps in creating a mixed number into an improper fraction. This is going to be a skill you're going to have to use when we move further into fractions, when we're multiplying fractions, even when we're adding fractions. It's a skill you might have to use. Okay? Make sure you have those steps down. Now, the second slide is do it with me. So now we're going to do it together without seeing the steps, because you should have already written them down. Now we're going to do it all together. So the very first step is to multiply the whole by the denominator. That's, no, yep. So we're going to multiply our whole by our denominator. And so in that case, 3 times 2 is 6. We'll put that above. And then we add that product to our numerator, 6 plus 1. And I get 7 as my numerator, because I'm going to write that as my numerator. And I keep my original denominator. So 7 halves is going to be my answer, 7 over 2. And that's the check mark that I was referring to before. Making sure you're always doing the check mark. Always going down with multiplication, and then back up with addition. Okay? And then the third one, I want you to do on your own. Okay? And then I'm going to provide you with the answer, but you need to have in your notebook the correct way of doing it based on what we just did with 1 and 2. Now do the third one on your own, and then I'm just going to show you your answer. So pause it and do this. The answer you should get is 33/7. Okay? Now, improper to mixed. Now it's a completely new steps of solving. It's not going to be the same, because now we're going improper to mixed. So with the first step of improper to mixed, we need to circle the fraction and create groups of 1 whole. So we're going to circle this, 11/4, and we're going to pull out groups of 1 whole. Now 1 whole, knowing my denominator is 4, 1 whole is going to be 4/4. So my first group is going to be 4/4 here. That's my first group. Now I only pulled out 4/4. I still have more to go. So I can pull out another group, okay, of 4/4. Now that's a total of 8/4. And I have 3 left over, because 8 plus 3 makes 11. So that's 3/4 here. Okay. And now, my second step. So I pulled out I wrote I circled the fraction and created groups of one whole. And then my second step, it says to circle the groups of one whole and any remainders written as a fraction. So here's my remainder written as a fraction because it doesn't make a group. So I'm going to circle my whole groups. So that's one whole. That's two wholes. And that's my remainder. So I write that out as 1, 2, which is 2 wholes, and 3/4. So it'd be written 2 and 3/4. And that's how you do improper to mix number. So now we're going to do this again. This time you do it with me. So with 7/3, the first step is I need to circle my fraction, and I need to pull out groups of one whole. Well, if my denominator is 3, 3/3 would represent one whole. So I'm going to pull out 3/3. That's 3 out of the 7. I can pull out another 3/3. That's 6 out of the 7. I cannot pull out another 3/3. So that means I have a leftover. I have a remainder. And that's 1/3. That's left over. And so now I'm going to circle my groups of one whole. And my remainder is my fraction that gets added on. So that's 1 whole, 2 wholes, and 1/3. So I rewrite it as 2 and 1/3. Okay, very straightforward. Now, the third one you need to do on your own. So do it, pause the video, and then come back and check the answer. The answer you should get is 4 3/8 with 35/8. Okay, and then the very last one, you are to do these two on your own and hand it. Okay? Best of luck. Happy mixed to improper and improper to mixed.